Welcome to the Cash Confident Podcast. I'm BRIE, your fearless host, personal finance expert, and the visionary behind the revolutionary Cash Confident community. Get ready to embark on an electrifying journey where we redefine the rules of money and empower women to harness the immense power to craft the life they truly, truly desire. This podcast is the ultimate resource, meticulously crafted for women who are ready to unleash their financial prowess and embrace a life of abundant success. We leave no stone unturned as we delve into the depths of money management, mindset mastery, and the undeniable influence of emotions on your financial decisions. Prepare to rise above the societal limitations and break free from the chains that have held you back as we equip you with the tools and knowledge to make bold, confident choices with your cash. We believe that true financial power begins with knowledge, and that is exactly what we deliver. So buckle up, my fierce and ambitious friends, as we embark on this transformative journey to becoming cash confident together. Hello, everyone. BRIE here with you for the Cash Confident Podcast. And today we are talking about side hustles. And there are four main things that I really want to discuss with you when you're thinking about starting a side hustle. And I'm going to be talking about side hustles for people who maybe eventually want to actually leave their 9-to-5 job. And so this is kind of the place to get started, right? And I'm going to talk about just making a little extra money in the context of side hustles and why making a little extra money via like working overtime or picking up a second temporary job is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's also not, it's not really a side hustle. And we're a little talking semantics here, so just bear with me. All right. So when is it time to get a side hustle? So side hustles are great if you're looking at your paychecks and you're like, I cannot live the life that I want to live. You know, I cannot save the kind of money I want to save, spend the money I want to spend on this. And so therefore I would need to work a second job, or I would need to work a ton of overtime to be able to live that life. And those are fine options. They're just not really long-term solutions. If you have to work a lot of overtime to be able to live your life, it just takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your mental well-being. And honestly, what I see in people's transactions is people who work a ton of overtime or have multiple jobs typically will overspend in a lot of ways just because they're so exhausted. So if that's the boat that you're in, you're going to love this podcast. We're going to be talking about some things to just consider as you're making a side hustle. All right. So one of the first things that I suggest with side hustles is that the business is yours, right? And so oftentimes people will pick up a side hustle and they'll go the road of Instacart or Uber driving or doing sales for a different kind of company, maybe an MLM, or maybe just doing sales, for something like that. And those things can be fine for extra income, but they're generally not going to be very long-term solutions or strategies. So if you're looking to eventually maybe have a full-time business, I would certainly say start a business that is yours. You're going to make the most money, have the most control, be able to deduct what's appropriate, increase your time potency, and essentially have unlimited potential with your own business, where when we're doing some of those other things, those options are not so much. All right, so that's a thing that I would suggest. Now, that comes with a lot of baggage, right? You're going to need an idea. You're going to need to set up systems. You're going to need to learn sales and marketing and deliverables and all of that. And that's actually not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little higher level than those things. But most of us have a business idea that's buried within us. Most people that I've ever talked to have something that's on their mind or on their heart, or they really, really want to do. And the places, and I will say this too, it's always easiest to make the most money when you're doing something you really love doing, when you're doing something that you're glad that you are doing. And because it's just easier. The enthusiasm takes away a lot of the obstacles. And so and I would call it a mistake, even though I don't know that that's the right word, but one place that we can start to get off off topic with starting a business, is doing the thing that we think will make the most money or make the most money the fastest, but it's really not the truth of what we want to do. So if you're going to get started, I would really consider asking yourself, what is the truth of what I really, really want here? And then figure out how that thing could potentially make money. All right. The second thing that you want to be looking for in terms of side hustles is that we want your side hustle money, your income from your side hustle, to be better, bigger, more powerful than the income that you would get from your job. So time potency, I'm going to give you two quick little stories to demonstrate the point that I'm talking about. So at one point I had a client who in his full-time regular business was good to be making, he was in a sales position, so anywhere between like $100 and $200 an hour. All right, but he was having some tough time. Sales positions are notoriously roller coaster-esque, right? So he was having a dry spell in his business, which sometimes happens in a sales position, or in a, when you're in charge of your own sales. And so he took a side hustle driving for Uber or Lyft in the mornings, and he would spend about 5 hours a day, early in the morning before his kids were awake, before his clients' meeting started. And this was a decrease in time potency because the hours that he was spending doing those kinds of tasks, he was making, let's call it $20, $25 an hour doing the Uber rides. And so it overall decreased his income because by the time that he was the middle of the afternoon, he was exhausted. He was tired. He'd already worked a full day. So the things that were not getting done were the things that were going to bring in that $100 to $200 an hour levels of income, as opposed to, the steadiness of it. So he essentially decreased his overall financial income because he took that extra side gig, even though the side gig it looked like it was helpful. It looked like it was helpful because it was bringing in steady income where his other income wasn't steady. But because the wages were so much lower and he was expending that energy, he didn't have that to give in his real business. And so this is where I'm talking about time potency. And I'm going to tell you a story about somebody else who had actually a very similar job to the one that I was just talking about. And instead of, when her business was, just a little like revenue bumpy, right? Like when she was getting started, a little revenue bumpy, she started offering a very particular planning service that she would bill $250 an hour for, which was more than what she was typically working with, in just her regular sales position. So she was able to offer that service, and that decreased the amount of time she had to work to make make everything flow in her life. And it ended up increasing her overall income because it was an increase in time potency. So when you're looking for your side hustles, you want to be asking yourself, like, how do I sell my time, my services in a way that makes the most, like the highest level of service that I could possibly give, so that way I could do it in the least amount of time. So that's time potency. So your side hustle, especially if this is something that you eventually want to take full time, you really want to make sure that we're increasing our time potency. You will not be able to very likely quit a job on a side hustle that's less than your current level of income, unless you have some extenuating circumstances, unless you're super miserable and you're willing to take a decrease in pay. But for most people, that's a very, very difficult place to be in. So increasing your time potency. Now, the third thing about this, the side hustle, where I talk to people and they do not do this, and it baffles me, is really around the tax situation, and they don't take all their deductions. So listen, if you're going to start a side business, you need to read a book or two about tax deductions and figure that out, because that makes a huge, huge difference. So one of my favorite books, actually, let me recommend the book and then I'll talk more about this, is called Lower Your Taxes Big Time by Sandy Botkin. That is one of my, it's a book about taxes. I mean, it's a book about tax deductions, but as far as it goes, it's tolerable and it's mildly humorous, and I love tax deductions. So I actually read it like it was 50 Shades of Grey. Like I took that thing to the beach, but I recognize that other people do not love tax deductions as much as I love tax deductions. So you could talk to your accountant. The thing that's going to be really important is that you have this conversation early when you're getting started. So that way, you know how to set up your systems, you know what's deductible, what's not deductible. So that way you could keep track of it. If you have to go back throughout your year, fishing through all of your expenses for deductions, it becomes incredibly cumbersome and you will potentially hate your life. And the joy of getting the deductions is going to really be weighed down by bad record keeping. So the thing about the deductions that's so important, especially as you get started, is that most of us, when we first start a business, are not rolling in dough just yet. I mean, it's possible, and you can totally be somebody who like hits the ground totally running and makes a ton of money. But oftentimes we're going to have a little bit of a bumpy start. Maybe we're going to be investing in courses or investing in learning how to do it or investing in our materials. And that means that even if we're making money in our business, we may not be taking that money home right away. And so the deductions really help to show, it just helps. You're going to spend less in taxes. You'll have more to invest in your business. You're going to spend less in taxes. You're going to potentially have more to take home. And it's a skill that if you're going to take this business full time, you really want to be on top of. So that's a thing that, like, if you're going to go to the trouble of having a side hustle, like take the week or two and read the books and talk to your accountant and really make the most of like what's possible in the realm of tax deductions. It makes having a business much more sustainable. Now the last thing about side hustles that I particularly like to see when I'm talking with, like, working with somebody who has a long-term desire to take that side hustle full time, is you kind of want the business to have unlimited potential. Now, what that doesn't mean is that you would have to do all of the work to get it to unlimited potential. You could hire people, you could outsource some things. But you do want to see that, it's a business that does have unlimited potential, even if you don't have the desire to take it all that far at this current minute. And the reason that that's going to be important is because otherwise you're just going to lock yourself into a different job where you're limited. And there's really nothing wrong with it, but most of the time people are starting side hustles to grow businesses that are eventually going to become passive, that are eventually going to become full-time and much more passive revenue. So if you can see that your business would really, really have a cap, you may need to look at it differently, see if there's a different way to offer your products or services, or just figure out, you may need to just figure out the way for it to be unlimited. That's not a hard yes or no, but it's something to really consider. Now, so if you have a business that's yours, that increases your time potency, you're on top of all of your deductions and making sure that you're really making the most of your side hustle from the get-go, and you have unlimited potential, those are going to be the places where you can start to make some progress financially. And, you can work a few hours a day or whatever. And honestly, for most people, baby businesses only really require a good couple hours a day of working. Now, if you're going to start a side business and with the intention of maybe eventually bringing it to a place where it replaces, there's a couple things to really consider. So we have three primary resources in our life: our time, our money, and our energy. And so as you start a side hustle, you're going to be expending more time and more energy on this, on making money. which is fine if it's a very temporary thing to do, right? It's fine if it's temporary. It's the thing that we can ask our bodies to like really push through for, a few months or, a year, whatever. What I would suggest is looking at the times that you are the most productive. Like, are you a morning person or night person? And giving your new baby business the thing that like is really yours, the time that you're at your best. So for example, I'm a morning person. I'm a person I'm significantly more productive in the morning. I don't even really work at night. And so if I was starting a side hustle, I would want to wake up early and give my baby business all of my juiciest, best, most creative energy and then go to work. So that's like, something to consider. So the benefits of having your own business are so wide and so vast. First, you do have that unlimited potential, which opens itself up to so much personal growth, personal development, mindset shifts, new friends, cool events. So there is all of that. And then there's the money aspect. Most of us like to spend more money. We like to save more money. We like to make and have more money. So there's that. Then there's like the challenge of it. It's all really wonderful and exciting and lovely. So those are a couple things that if you are really thinking, maybe I should get a side hustle, or I would like to make some more money, these are 4 things that you can just consider as you're rolling around the ideas in your mind of what you would be doing, who you would be serving, how you would be helping, and all of those things. All right. I hope this was helpful for you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you next week. It was my pleasure and joy to talk with you today. Thank you for listening. If you found value in our conversation, I kindly ask you to share the show with a friend who deserves to unleash her financial power. Your feedback is so valuable to me. So please take a moment to leave a review. Together we can amplify the message and bring more money into the hands of good women. For ongoing guidance and unwavering support on your financial journey, I invite you to join the Cash Confident community. Visit www.cashconfident.com/join to become part of our powerful community of women where we uplift and inspire one another to reach new heights of financial success. Remember, you possess the power to shape your financial destiny, and with the Cash Confident podcast and the support of our remarkable community, you are unstoppable. Embrace your financial power, create the life you desire, and let's ignite a movement of cash confident women who are transforming the world $1, one decision at a time.